23rd, 6:30.
Yep. The Runnemede School District calls the meeting to order. The Board of Education is in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled Open Public Meetings Act. The time, date, and location of this meeting was appropriately advertised by notifying the retrospect as well as posting notices in Borough Hall, the Runnemede Post Office, Maryville School, Alon Bingham School, Grace Downing School, and the Runnemede Public School District website. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Ms. Adair, Ms. Beebe, Ms. Davidson,
Here.
Ms. Farrell,
Here.
Mr. Murray,
Here.
Ms. O'Brien,
Here.
Ms. Panzarella,
Here.
Ms. Sams,
Here.
Ms. Spalding. Also present, we have Mark Iannucci, Superintendent, Sean McCarron, BA Director of Curriculum Instruction. Did I see Ms. Hezzy? Mr. Peely, Principal, Mary Vold School, Steve Maloney, Vice Principal, Vold School, Gladys Hubbard, Director of Special Education, Frank Hines, Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds. Ms. Hezzy, Principal of Vold School. No, Principal of Buildings and Grounds.
Okay, this time we'll need an approval from last meeting's minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular.
Maria?
Any questions?
Roll call.
Ms. Davidson,
Abstain, I was not present.
Ms. Farrell,
Yes.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella,
Yes.
Ms. Sams.
Yes.
Motion passes. We have five yeses.
I'm going to pass this over to some special guests in a second to recognize our Women's Club of Runnemede Essay Contest winners. Mr. Peely, I know.
Ms. Kelly.
Oh, Ms. Kelly, sorry. Second, usually in the front row, so you're sitting right in front. Ms. Kelly going to present some of our awards. We'll give us a little background on what's going on.
Much like Mr. Iannucci, thank you. So we won't take much of your time up, but Ms. Adair, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, brought us a essay writing contest from the Women's Club. So we always like to do things that, go from the community to school and school community back. So I will take no credit here. I pass it on to Ms. DeFea, who's in the back there, Ms. Brant, who teaches one of our 8th grades. And they worked with the students. They decided to do a personal narrative. Each student, they had some freedom on how they were going to write, and it was one of those where all the kids participated, but unfortunately only 3 could win. So those 3 winners are here today. We're going to present them. They're going to either read their whole narrative, some are pretty long, or read pieces of it to share it with the board and the community. And then at the end, I'd like to get a picture of all 3 of them, so if anyone doesn't mind, so we can generate their accomplishments on Facebook. So that's our plan. So, Mr. Fay, do you have anything else to add about the writing process or anything about the kids?
Just they're amazing and how much they've grown as writers, and they're taking all my little tricks and tips and they're applying it to their work, and you can see just from what you're about to hear how awesome they are.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go with 3rd place. Jesse, you want to come on up? You, Jesse. Comfortable right there? You good?
I don't understand because he's right back here. His audience.
I've already
Yeah, that's better. If you don't mind, I'm going to read my entire. It's not very long, but I feel like it's unfair.
Why don't you explain what you did and
Yeah.
what
So
you chose?
I wrote about the Salem witch trials as if I was a woman who was stuck there, since women really didn't have much of an opinion or voice at the time. So I decided to write from the perspective of a woman who disagreed with what they were doing, but she can't do anything about it. Rain pouring down, a strong rage surrounded our small village. I worked peacefully within my house, cooking a dinner for my little one and my husband, as my sweetheart neighbor, Evelyn, bangs on my door with excitement. As I open the door, she simply cannot contain herself. She's speaking a mile a minute. I can barely understand her. "Evelyn," I shout, "slow down. You know I can't understand you when you speak that fast." I place my hand to her shoulder for reassurance. "I'm sorry, but I have really good news." I feel her shaking. I already know what she's going to say. "They found another one of those unholy witches. Alas, we will be safe once again. Isn't it great?" she blurts. "Sure it is," I respond with a slight smile. I hate execution days. I simply don't understand the fascination. Another brooding man, Mr. Crumb, found another witch among us. I find it so ridiculous that these so-called witches are so gruesomely murdered. Why? Because they were emotional. My husband is the same as the rest of them. stupid and incompetent. In fact, he's the one that found evidence to prove this poor woman was evil. If I could say something about it, I would. The only evidence he found was her cries, crying because she had lost her newborn son and stopped speaking. Apparently, that behavior was irregular. You may ask, why don't you just speak your mind? Well, if I did, I'd be hung right at her side. In my small town of Massachusetts, everyone is celebrating the hanging of Madeline. No last name, no real origin, none which we know at least. Water droplets smack the ground as well as the windows. Holding my child close, I'm much too late to save him. He's merely 4 and already enjoys a celebration to rid our town of witches. However, I still rather keep him inside, which is the farthest I can get him from the madness. They're shouting in the distance. Viewing the display from my window, Madeline is in a tattered gown of white, weeping as she is tied up with a rope snug around her throat. Poor girl. My husband is shouting curses and foul names at her. Our priest leading a prayer for her. They say witches are simply possessed by the devil and need to be freed. I think that's insane. Madeline, or should I say the devil, I will give you the luxury of any final words. My husband shouts. I can never tolerate his shouting, and neither does she. She spits directly in his face. The scene is so frightening I almost can't watch it. Her life and soul fading from her body as she violently shakes. She has this smile. From ear to ear, her face is at peace. She will finally reunite with her son. And finally, her smile is faded as her body begun to shut down and the crowd's cheers vanished. For me, it seemed as all the water droplets froze midair. Another innocent woman, dead because foolish men and their foolish ideas. May you rest peacefully, Madeline, I whisper under my breath.
Oh, wonderful.
It also represents school
Fabulous.
and grade class as part of student government. It has been a very positively vocal person and getting a lot of stuff back that went away with COVID. So she's going to be in Congress one day. What can I say? All right, next up, Gab, you ready?
Another fabulous writer. Wait till you hear. Gab, just.
She's going to read the whole thing.
Right.
Hi, I'm just going to read the last paragraph or two, since I have like 5 pages.
Gab, can you just explain, it's not the Salem Witch Trials, what did you choose?
Oh, so my class had to write an essay, creative writing, about Lincoln's assassination and the point of view from someone who was there or at the aftermath of the event. And I chose his killer.
Which was very creative in
Very
the way she
creative.
did this.
So this would be at the scene where he is escaping the building and the guards are chasing him. If I can find it. I did not look back. My limping pattern sped as I neared the backstage, and eventually I threw open the doors with such a force that they could have possibly flown off the building into space simply from the momentum. The outdoors was an oddly relieving sight to see. Although I could not clearly see it, leaves appeared to me as a green blurry chunk, and the sounds of the birds singing throughout sung by the people's screams. My arm swung over the back of my getaway horse, and my fingertips brushed for the small bits of fur. It took a quick struggle and overwhelming strength to get onto her back, and the moment I climbed onto her, I suddenly heard yet another loud bang. I gave a quick glance at the cause of the noise to see a man in blue uniform had come out after me. The bright blue sky set over us as if it were any other day, and sunlight drizzled onto the top of our heads. The noise was really all it took for me to know it was time to go, and I'd since tugged the reins. Thus always the tyrants, the South has been avenged.
Gabby is a strong
Fabulous.
and silent type, and with that, I think that I'd like to hear you speak more often. I don't say that to read this.
Oh, she's going to be a lawyer. She's
She's
going to be a lawyer one day.
All right, our first place winner, Jake, come on up.
I don't have Miss DeFeo personally. I have Miss Perron for ELA, so I haven't really been in any of her classes. But we had to write like a suspense narrative, so I tried to write like a classic kind of ghost story. So I'm just gonna read the last paragraph. Like Gabby says, mine's also like 5 pages long. Danny got scared by that and tried to run away, but every set of trees he saw, the eyes disappeared again. Danny eventually, after running for a while, recognized the big glowing sound and realized he was in the forest behind the hospital. For a moment, there was complete silence. It was like he was frozen. Chills ran through his body, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move a single muscle. Now he had no hope. Fear was the only thing he could feel. It was like the time with the bikes all over again. Everything started flashing. He thought he had woken back up, but it was only the flashback playing in his head. It was like every moment he was rude, upset, or angry were all in one place. Time wanted to scare him for him to use his anger, his hatred. Danny tried running, but it was no use. Wherever he went, it was all memories, playing like movie clips. Once Danny woke, he was back in his hospital bed. One of Danny's nurses was going out for a smoke break, but found him collapsed outside. He was a changed person. What he had just experienced was like his life flashed before his eyes, but only every single time he had felt hatred and anger. It was horrifying. After that, he had never seen anything like that again. No Tommy, no ghosts, no life-changing nightmares. He ended up having to go to therapy for all the trauma he had faced throughout this. He went on life, never forgetting what happened that week, and he was the new kid on the street.
Jake, did you sit there? Yeah, I know too. And just Jake, he's just a well-rounded good dude, so he's going to do great things as he moves on. And Mr. Fay, get up. Any parents would like a picture of the group, please? Oh, I'm sorry, you do. So you have it. So why don't you hand them out now? I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Okay. I'm Eleanor Kelly. I am president of the Runnemede Women's Club, and it is my honor to give these awards to these very talented young people. Our judge had a difficult time trying to come up with these three. They were just amazing stories, beautifully written, well thought out. A credit to your teachers and to you, parents, that raised these children. So it's a great honor to present to Jake Riley the first prize award with your gift on the back. To Gabriella. And Jesse, the third prize award. The Women's Club has been in existence for 75 years. And believe me, next year will be our 76th year, and we're going to have this story contest again, and hopefully we'll be having beautiful stories to judge. So I thank you all for your participation. Now we'll take some pictures with you. Hold up your...
Okay, that smile. We got down a little bit.
Thanks.
I need one for our Facebook page. How we're meeting the Women's Club. I'll sit back.
Okay, and one more round of applause for. You guys want to have a seat? We have one more short presentation, and then I think we'll take some applause and let these guys get on with their notes. You guys can have a seat. Once again, unrelated but also very important. The other Miss O'Brien will be speaking tonight, I believe, for the Interact Club. So, stage is yours.
Good evening, Runnemede Board of Education. Hi, my name is Maddie O'Brien. The Interact Club would like to set up a fundraiser to collect funds for Homeward Bound Shelter in Lockwood, New Jersey. Homeward Bound offers vaccinations, surgeries, and dental care for animals in need. On February 24th, we would like to have a pencil sale, Tuesday through Thursday next week. Interact members will be taking orders and collecting money during Home and Advisory. The profit made will either be donated directly to Homeward Bound Shelter, or we will be using it to their Amazon wish list. We greatly appreciate your consideration and your approval in this fundraiser.
And I'm assuming that's a yes. So we'll put the things into place for that, but I appreciate you getting up there and being a representative for a good cause and good club. So that is our student presentations for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You guys did a great job.
Great job, everybody.
If I hired you to write some of my board reports for the month. Not very excited.
So we're just going to conduct our regular business, our regular meeting. If you want to stay, if you want to take a couple minutes and go, you're more than welcome to take off if you want to. Yeah, we'll take a 2-minute
Thank you, Mr. Feo.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did miss that. I took the picture. Do you think I did that?
Okay. So at this time, we would take public comments on agenda items only. Does anybody have any comments based on agenda items only? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Like I said, I can't be as descriptive as those. Even the interactive information is good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming tonight. It is February, which is always a short month. We haven't met in about 6 weeks, but the good thing is we haven't had any snow days recently. We haven't had to change any calendar.
Jinx!
It's coming, though. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. But usually we have to make some calendar adjustments in February, as I'm going to pass the agenda, so that's a good thing. District enrollments holds 822 students. Right now, Dr. McCarron is getting some more gray hairs from the budget planning. Keep on going. We are still waiting. We haven't got any numbers yet from the governor. The 2 weeks is his presentation. From what we're hearing from things I've been attending, I don't see any drastic changes, so hopefully that'll stay steady or will be great. This week, pre-K and kindergarten registration information is available on the district website. And we have a lot of people interested. Mrs. Walker's shaking her head, so that's always a good thing. Dr. McCarron, I believe, is going to talk a little bit in his report about expanding our pre-K for next year. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the year. So I'll let him talk about that because I know he's talking to Kitty Cagliari every week. We are creating a school calendar for 2023-24. We'd like to have that presented at the next meeting in March. I don't see any drastic changes. I know Labor Day is a little bit later next year, so that'll impact. Right now, it doesn't bring the students back until the 7th, which is Thursday, I believe. So, again, we do the best we can. We'd like to balance getting started, but then also not ending at the end of June when things are crazy. So, and then we're also already developing ESY and summer program, which just ended, but we're already in that process as well. That information usually comes out end of March, April-ish. We get a little preliminary information.
I'm like, no.
I'm
like, March.
Last year we were March.
We gotta get through budget.
We got it. He always says that. The budget will be done, and the next day he'll be, all right, this is the ESY. So I don't listen to him.
I need time.
And then last week I attended the MOA with the chief of police. Again, just one of those things we have to do each year. That's sign off. They'll be sending the copies back to us. That's one of those QSAC things we like to do to make sure there are no points. So I attended along with the chief of police. There was a presentation by the Anti-Defamation League as well as the prosecutor's office for useful information. I did speak with Mr. Peely. The prosecutor's office does some assemblies for middle school and high school kids to talk about things like cyberbullying and internet safety and other issues that are impacting middle school kids. They geared more age appropriate for the middle school. So I did reach out to that gentleman last week, waiting to hear back. We're just trying to get some dates lined up. I'll let you know if you'd like to attend that assembly during the school day, if you're around. You're always more than welcome to kind of see it. It's usually pretty good. We're excited to get that off the ground. Events coming up. Unfortunately, boys and girls basketball teams. We're not bringing home any championships in basketball, but that's okay. They did end the season last week, Mr. Maloney, correct? They're ongoing. And then we have the PTA Founder's Day dinner next Wednesday night, the 22nd, I believe.
Yep.
Over at Valley Brook, beginning at 6 o'clock. And there's also the RY basketball fundraiser event kicking off that weekend as well, 24th, 26th,
24th,
right?
25th,
More
26th.
information, we've been blasting stuff out on Facebook and posting stuff to the website. Our faculty team is not going to challenge the Boston Celtics anytime soon. Our game is on Saturday at 1 o'clock, so we're going to ask for some mercy, yeah, lots of ice packs.
I just got them. It's so funny you said that. Yes, Chuck. Just got them. I go, it's going to be a rough week.
It'll be interesting. A lot of lidocaine and some stuff to get it going. And then NJ SLA assessments coming up in May. I put the dates out May 15th through 19th for grades 3 through 5, and then the 22nd through the 26th for grades 6 through 8. So that training comes up. All teachers have been trained. Dr. McCarron will be attending some training meetings along with some other counselors in the district. We'll relay that information to the staff as well. So that is all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dr. McCarron?
Okay, so for the business office, we've been working on our 23-24 budget. Mr. Anish and I have been meeting with Mr. Hines, Ms. Hubbard, principals regarding just needs for the 23-24 school year in terms of planning out what that will look like. In regards to preschool expansion, we are looking at expanding our program. So we have, one of the ways we're able to expand our program is using local providers who are able to meet the requirements of the preschool program. In Runnemede, a local provider that we do have that is interested at this time would be Kitty Academy. So we are in talks with Kitty Academy. Their program and this information will not be approved by the Department of Education until April 1st. Their program will have to be identical to our program. They will have to use the same curriculum that we use. Their facility that they use will have to meet all of the size requirements as dictated by the Department of Education. They will have to follow all of the guidelines that we follow as a regular school program. I've been in a lot of conversations lately with districts that have provider programs as a part of their resources. So it would take us from 7 preschool classrooms to 9. This year we had over 30 students on our wait list. So that would allow us with 2 additional classrooms to have 2 additional classes of 15 students in each, which we do have that need for within the district. So it's a huge benefit to the district. The way it looks though is like the registration would take place in Runnemede if once it is approved, meaning students would be registered through the Runnemede School District. However, their school location would be listed as Kitty Academy. The way in which we run preschool is it's a 3-4 program, so the students would remain there for age 3 and 4, but then they would already be registered when we feed them into Bingham and Downey for it's feeder school option. It sounds bad for anyone who's not necessarily in that realm. We're not feeding the children to other things. But when we send the children to kindergarten, then we would automatically have them enrolled within our programs. We would be able to provide those orientations to those students and really have that available. Kitty Academy, in addition to that, they would have to be Runnemede students only. So Kitty Academy is a private facility. However, the classrooms that would be designated for preschool funding would be Runnemede students only. Their principal would be the director of that program. However, I would then be the one who's overseeing it as director of curriculum and instruction. Our master teacher would go over there to make sure that teachers are following those routines and that we were in compliance. And the district would be responsible for ensuring the fact that all funding is being used appropriately from the state. So the money that we would get additional money for 2 additional classrooms. We would then have to distribute that money to that program to ensure the fact that they're able to run and that they fall within compliance with everything that's required for them. So this is a huge opportunity for the district because, as you know, that I've spoken to before, we don't have additional space within our facilities to meet the requirements for additional preschool classrooms that have a certain square footage for bathroom, that have a certain square footage for room space. Kitty Academy also runs, now they would be able to run their own before and after care program at Kitty Academy for the students who attend there. However, their school day would have to be identical to ours. So we're in constant communication with them. I've been in constant communication with other business administrators in regards to what contracts look like, our state representative in terms of what that is. Does anyone have any questions regarding that?
I do.
Go for it.
Who hires the teachers for these 2 classrooms, us or Kitty Academy?
So Kitty Academy would be responsible for hiring the teachers and aides. Those teachers would have to be, the way it's worked out with the state is they have to be paid a similar salary to what a classroom teacher makes. However, they do not fall under tenure, pensions, or anything like that. But Kitty Academy is fully responsible for staffing, but the certifications must be in place. They're responsible for staffing each classroom. For a preschool room, we must have a teacher and an instructional aide that is in that classroom.
Now, who checks and balances the accountability? You? Or
So
the
in terms of registration and who gets placed,
Now, who oversees, we're saying they must meet the criteria.
Runnemede School District and the Department of Education both.
Okay.
So when they come to visit, it'd be like when the department visits multiple schools.
Okay.
So imagine it as if, however, when they go into that location, they would be going into the classrooms that are designated
Okay.
as Runnemede classrooms.
Got it.
And confirming the fact that everything's there.
Before and after care. Our before and after care, they have before and after care. Would the cost be the same that they offer as what we offer our students?
So it would be similar. The only difference with Kitty Academy is for preschool, they actually accept voucher because they have a birth through age 5
Correct.
program. We do not accept vouchers
For preschool?
for preschool. We accept it for grades K through 5 because of the requirement differences.
How
they
are
actually
we
have to-
choosing who
Every
goes?
school district I've spoken to says that they look at various criteria in regards to, so for example, if a student registers to attend the preschool program and they have a sibling who attends Vols, chances are the student would be coming here. Otherwise, it goes by zone, meaning the students would be placed to ensure that we have a full program that's equal across the board. It would be placed in different segments. Now, in Runnemede, we offer our related services at Vols. So if a student has specific needs or, services that need to be provided, while those can be provided at Kitty Academy also, it's a lot easier if they are provided here because we have the additional resources, we have sensory rooms, we have the different sensory playgrounds and things, but they do have to meet the basic requirements in order to run the program at their facility.
So with the ever-changing financial struggles of families everywhere, could that be looked at if we have a family who qualifies for vouchers
Yes.
and it would benefit them financially?
So while it is, so here's what I will say also, in certain situations, like our before and after care program has always tried to work with families that are in need of support. However, this offers an opportunity where they would actually be able to utilize their voucher. And we do have the transportation of the students at that location that if that came up as a thing, we would be able to do it. In certain situations, if we have a family that maybe their child went to Kitty Academy at age 2 and is going into 3 and they want to stay at Kitty Academy and they make that request, just like with anything, we're open to hear that, but we also have to take into consideration the full picture, and we might not be able to based on numbers. Because just like every year with our program, so for example, we might be able to meet 105 students total within Vols, let's say, right, for our full program. But next year, we might only have 45 openings based on the need for us to hold certain spots for special education, based on the number of students who we have as 3s and 4s and who's moving and who isn't moving. So there's a lot of different variables that come into place. And at the end of the day, the Department of Education is always looking that we are filling our program completely. So while we want to say that we might have, more 4-year-olds than 3-year-olds, that might not be the case in certain years because of enrollment. And, we might try to do an equal separation, but if I then have all these 3-year-old spots open, I'm going to be opening them up to 4-year-olds as well. So that's kind of where that goes. So normally parents would find out immediately. March 9th is when the deadline is at noon, at noon for parents to submit their information We're already at 41, I think we had 43 spots open. But that being said, if the Kitty Academy piece gets approved as of April, that's 30 additional spots that we then have open. Also, while we have a wait list, it's, you know, after registration, if we don't have to do a lottery and there's a wait list, it comes on a first come, first served basis, but a lot goes into that. You have families that might not fill out the paperwork, families that might choose to not send their students at that time because it's too soon and they want to wait till the following year. Everyone has different reasons, but the fact that we would be getting closer to a fuller number is fantastic. So when you look at each of our grade levels that range between 80 to 100 students, that's about 160 students. So at this point, we'd be going up to 135 for 2 grade levels because it's 3s and 4s. So that gets us extremely close to our entire kindergarten population, which means when you think about, you know, years ago, you only had the half-day program.
Morning and afternoon.
It was AM and PM, and now you're getting students into your building for 2 years before they go even into kindergarten. And so that's great because we have that much more time with the students. And Ms. Yezi has our intervention specialist from Bingham and Downey coming over also to interact with those students so we have a better idea of where our students are going into kindergarten. We're able to collaborate with our preschool teachers and our kindergarten teachers so that way we have that transition time. And then also those teachers at Kitty Academy would be involved in our professional development. They would be involved in interactions with students having that ability, but it's technically run as 2 separate entities in terms of school-wise. But like they would be registered in our system. We would have to set it up as a separate school and then we'd be able to have all of that information there.
One more question, although the preference would be if they have special needs that we can accommodate here. Let's say we're out of space and they are going there. Are we providing transportation?
So there's multiple ways that you can do things. Number one, the student can always stay there and related services can go over to them as needed. The other
That's why
option
I'm
would
asking
be,
if we have, will we be providing transportation like we would for a preschool student, say with special needs?
also, so yes.
Okay, that's it.
However, that would be determined based on the child study team and based on those needs that are identified.
Understood.
Okay?
Would the kids would they ever do anything with the kids here together?
Field trips and
Field
such.
trips or
So
free?
all of that stuff would be planned out, but like I said, everything is extremely fresh.
Right.
We want to give them the full same schooling experience, and just like they get a budget for classroom, each classroom like we have, that would be a planning session that we would be sitting down and having that conversation with the provider center that we'd be working with.
I would encourage that be done.
No, but I'm just saying it's very infancy at this point, and once we get that approval, then we would sit down and say, like, how are we spending our money?
Yeah.
This amount needs to be spent here, this amount needs to be spent there. But, and you know, the provider center also has other things they have to consider, such as like rent and all those other aspects that would have to come out of that funding for the classroom as well. So we have to look at all of those aspects, and we've been working with, that's why I'm working with other districts though, that deal with providers, so that way I have a better idea as far as what I'm going into and how that's handled on their end, since they've been doing it for
Are there other districts like us who already have a program in-house and then have to?
In Camden County, the main one would be Voorhees and the Camden City. So
But there are others
yes.
where they have partial in-house.
In Cumberland County, there, which is where I was previously, there's a lot more districts. So for example, my mother-in-law was early childhood supervisor in Vineland. They had over 9 providers in Vineland
Okay.
on top of their school.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
So when you look at in terms, and that's been going on for years.
Okay.
So for me, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to find out what's worked for other school districts and implement it for us, so that way we can find success immediately and not have to
Okay.
recreate anything that doesn't need to be done. Yeah.
As far as school safety goes, I'm assuming they have child locks, they have security cameras.
All safety protocols
Also
will be
be
discussed
protocol.
and correct.
And then the second question was, what about the nurse? We have a school nurse here on staff.
So here's what I will say is, we have a school nurse on staff. If there are medical needs, you have to realize that that provider, as a child care provider, has a ton of guidelines that they have to follow beyond what the Department of Education has to follow. So while we have all these things in place, in order for them to be accredited as a provider and through NACE accreditation, which Kitty Academy is accredited with their program that they currently have, but they would be following our program and our curriculum with what we're doing. So they already have those guidelines that they have to follow, and those guidelines is actually one of the reasons why they have that additional voucher program that we don't have at this time because it's birth to 5. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's kindergarten through 6, which we have. Any other questions? So that's a lot of information. There's still a lot in the works and we don't have final answers at this time, which is why once I get that official notification, that more information will follow.
Thank you.
Okay? So we'll make sure to keep you updated with that as well. In terms of curriculum, we have our PD Day coming up on this Friday, and then we also have another PD Day in March. So we've been working with coming up with that PD schedule, getting that out to staff members. We have consultants coming in, Cara Eva, who's working with our staff on SEL. She'll be following up. Mary Josephs is coming in to work with our special education teachers. And Gladys has her working with all of our IEPs and kind of evaluating where our strengths are, where we can also tighten things up. And then also Sheila Richburg is our literacy consultant who is finalizing stuff this year and working with staff as well. As Mr. Iannucci said, staff testing is coming up, so that will be happening soon. And then also as we plan for state testing, we talked in the beginning of the year regarding test scores. Some things we are looking at is where students are testing and identifying like maybe they'll be testing with their actual student, actual teachers, who they have the class for. So instead of just testing with their homeroom teacher for all subject areas, actually testing with their language arts teacher for language arts, their math teacher for math, science teacher for science, because there is something to be said when you are in those rooms and with the staff member who's been working with you all year on the content, how you perform on those areas. So we're trying to mix things up a little bit and look at things from a different lens and perspective. So that's where we are.
All right, thank you, sir.
That was a long report for me.
Does anybody have any questions on the other district reports? Okay. Other reports, PTA?
Yeah. So we have had 2 events that went great so far. All of the events have been great this year, but our Goodies with Grands, we ended up having well over 300 people here for Goodies with Grands. It was chaos. They loved it though. Poor grandparents were like, go find your craft. They were like, what? But they had a blast. It was really fun. We have Founders Day coming up next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And then we are going to put in a facilities request. We have Kid Bingo coming up 4th through 8th, but it falls the last week of basketball. So we're going to move it the following Wednesday if we can, because we don't want kids to miss out and have to pick between their last basketball or bingo. So I'm going to have that form to send over to Kelly, but just wanted to put that guys on your radar too.
Thank you.
Any other committee reports?
For Canby County, I have Monday, February the 27th is the next virtual county meeting, 7 to 9 p.m. That's virtually, you have to register. The Camden and Gloucester County joint meeting is also virtual, Thursday, February the 23rd from 7 to 8:30. And then if you're interested, I don't have a time yet, but 8th grade, the Camden County 8th grade dialogue will be in the Winslow Township School District this year. I believe that's going to be held in person, not virtual. Last year it was virtual. And then lastly, if you're interested, the spring meeting is May 23rd at Adelphia's, and this is a joint hybrid. You can go in person, have dinner, or hybrid at Adelphia's on May 23rd. But you have to register before you go to all of it.
Board members are able to register for all of those events on their own. However, if you need me to register you for any of them, please just let me know.
And then don't forget your mandated training. Mine is different than everyone else's, but mine is on March 23rd, and that's for the first year of a newly elected official.
Why do I have to do this?
You might have that too if you were just newly elected.
Government's for the 17th time.
Yeah, every 3 years.
Yeah, it changes every year though. It changes, the topics change every year.
Okay, thank you.
But I'll take that topic 3 times before it registers.
All right, so we don't have any unfinished business. Moving on to new business. I'll need a motion to approve items number 1 and 2 under property and transportation.
I'll make that motion.
Naomi? Barb? Roll call, please.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella? Ms.
Yes.
Sims?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now under personnel, I need somebody to make a motion to approve items 1 through 3.
I'll make the motion to approve items 1 through 3.
Lisa?
Any questions?
The volunteer coach, are they supervised by other adults?
The board placed other policies in place a few years ago
Okay.
to ensure the fact that all volunteers had to follow certain criteria in order to be there.
The irony here is he's already
He's already an employee.
he's already an employee of the district. Hey, Dan,
Yes. I read.
I love it.
I do too. I do too. Okay, roll call please.
Love it.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella? Ms.
Yes.
Sims?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Awesome. And then items number 1 through 5 in finance. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 5 in finance.
Maria?
Second.
Barbara?
Any questions?
Roll
Ms.
call.
Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Sims?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then under curriculum, we need a motion to approve items 1 through 4. Happy,
I'll
thank
second.
Second?
you. Maria, second.
Any questions? Seeing none. Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Sims?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then under policy and public relations, items 1 through 3.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Naomi? Any questions on that?
Are these all mandated?
The ones,
One was red, one was, yeah.
some are abolished.
Right.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Sims?
That word
Yes.
sounds so
Motion passes. No, 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 no.
Okay. This portion of the, I'm sorry.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, this portion of the meeting is open to the public. Does anybody want to bring anything up?
Yeah.
Ms. Kelly?
Eleanor Kelly, 161 Forest Avenue. Where is City Academy?
Kitty.
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 Motor vehicle, where motor vehicle is. It's the child care provider in front of the Runson house. That's where it is.
Oh, wasn't that like a nursery or daycare?
Daycare, yes.
At one time.
Yes.
So now that is called City Academy.
Kitty,
Kitty.
kitty,
Kitty.
Kitty.
kitty,
Not
K-I-D-D.
City.
Not city.
Okay, Kitty Academy, okay. And people know how to get there, they don't need a bus to get there, they can just drop their kids off. It's close by,
It's in town.
and at least we won't have to do a lottery.
Hopefully, we'll see. We might have to do it.
Keep your
still.
fingers crossed, right?
Right.
Because people move to this town,
Just.
because we have free
Mhm.
pre-K. They move here.
So our demographics are changing. We have a lot of youth in town.
Yes,
Just
I know they
reminding
will,
you as
yeah.
well.
Well, that was my only question. And how many children now are enrolled? I'm not talking City Academy, Kitty Academy. I'm
So
talking.
currently in our preschool program, there's 105 students because we're allowed to have 15 per room, and there's 7 rooms. If we add the Kitty Academy locations, it would be 30 additional students, bringing us up to 135.
That's wonderful. Well, let's hope it goes through.
Thanks, Mrs. Kelly, thank you.
I
Anybody
have
else
one
have anything?
thing.
Maria?
The school district is playing the coaches on Saturday the 25th at 1, but if any of you are free on Friday night at 8:30, our police department is playing our fire department. So if you want a good laugh, please feel free to come to the Harry Williams building. And the wager is whichever group loses has to wash the other one's vehicles. So this is like, there's a lot at stake here, because that's gonna be a Facebook Live event. So It definitely will be fun. Please feel free to come and check it out. The kids' games will all be done that night. So many of them will stay to watch this. But it is going to be a lot of fun and definitely worth the ride to check out. So,
Okay,
yes.
we don't have any reason for executive session, so our next meeting is going to be March 15th at 6:30 p.m. Right back here on March 15th. So this time we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Maria?
Second?
Naomi? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I oppose it.